We need to do all that we can to improve road safety, and that means looking at things a little bit differently. We know that the road toll's going up, so we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep people safe. So at NTRO, we've said, let's have a conversation. Let's look at caravan safety, towing more generally as well, to understand what the problems are and what the solutions might be.
Do you find that there's people that actually do go out and buy a caravan without the skill level that they need?
You absolutely can go out and buy a caravan. You can buy a 22 or 24-foot caravan as your very first thing that you've ever towed on the road, and hit the road and really learn your skills while you're driving. And we're saying that's not the best place. I'm a caravanner myself, so I know this. We've started with something really small and sort of worked our way up over the years. Yeah, what we're saying is let's have a look at it. Let's really understand what sort of training there might need to be, whether it is a license or something else. Let's understand what's actually going to keep people who are towing safe on the road and keep everybody else who's on the road safe as well.
So what are the issues? Is it that you don't have the judgment to overtake, that you're not actually able to, see behind you because you don't have, say, a rear camera on the back of your caravan in most cases? What are the biggest issues that you're finding?
One of the biggest issues is we actually don't have good data. So we don't really know what's happening with caravan crashes nationally. But all of those things that you've just pointed out are absolutely things that people have to contend with, sometimes for the first time. You're towing something that's much longer, much heavier than your own vehicle in some instances, and that means that it's going to take a lot longer to stop, for example, or to react if something happens on the road. As you've said, if you've got an older caravan, you might not have good rear vision if you don't have a rear view camera, for example. So there's all these different things that come into play with towing, whether it's a caravan, whether it's a horse float or something else that, when you're just driving your car around, you don't necessarily have to think of as much. We'd like to see that if something was implemented, that it's national. Obviously caravanners are crossing state borders. I know the boat to get to Tasmania, for example, is booked out months in advance with caravans. So it's really important that whatever happens, that there's a national approach to it, but it would most likely actually be implemented at the state or territory level. So there needs to be a national conversation where we agree this is what we can do moving forward to improve safety, whether, as you said, that is training for people. And if it's training, really making sure that it's that balance of practical training, so understanding how your vehicle tows and how the trailer behind you feels and everything like that, and also sort of the theoretical training as well.
And who checks all the nuts and the bolts and that the tyres are in good shape? I mean, is there a rule that you've got to get all that checked before you're allowed to go caravanning or do it every couple of years?
Not in most states or territories, no. So it's like vehicles that, it's up to you to make sure it's maintained. Obviously with caravans, one of the things that you can find is because they're not used as much, you actually don't wear down the tyres as quickly. So your tyres might actually get to the point where, they're about to perish, and you can risk a blowout on the road while you're travelling before you actually wear them down. So maintenance on your caravan or your horse float or whatever it might be is really important to make sure that it's up to scratch.
So what do you think about the idea that you have the training and then it becomes an endorsement on an individual licence and it says that you've got that training? So if you get pulled over, you say, I've done the ticket. Could that be something that would work?
Yep, that could absolutely be something that could be looked at to be applied in each state and territory, obviously, with licensing and registration requirements. But that's something that could be beneficial and helpful, and certainly would then give you that stamp that, yes, you've done that course and you're qualified to actually know how to tow on the road.
If somebody wants to proactively go and get some training on towing, where would they go? To their caravan club, or where would it be?
Yeah, we'd say look for an accredited towing course. So there's certainly courses that are available nationally. Some states and territories, the motoring club, for example, will have training as well. So there's lots of different places that you can go. What we'd say is make sure that you look out for someone who's qualified to do that training and has, the good balance of theory and practical training as well.
So the national conversation has begun. If you had your perfect sort of outcome in all of this, what would you like to see? And obviously you're going to be continuing the conversation and advocating for better safety, but what would you like to see rolled out nationally?
So what we'd like to see in the first instance is really a good handle on that data. So making sure that we know what those problems are so that we can make sure that any solution that's implemented is actually the right solution.
This is Kylie Baxter
on ABC Radio Hobart.